Hello, everybody, and welcome to the CX Live Dialogues. I'm delighted to have with us today Richard Hall, Director of CX Solutions at Gamma. Richard is a CX Director with over 30 years' experience in the contact center technology, operations, and strategy. Passionate about developing customer-centric solutions that address complex experience challenges, he has a proven track record of automating customer interactions, reducing handling times, improving satisfaction, and building high-performance teams. Welcome, Richard. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Hi, yeah, glad to be here. Sounds like I can fix everything.
Indeed, you have got a very good depth of experience there, which is going to let me ask the question that's bothering most of the CX heads, that what are the biggest mistakes organizations make when implementing AI into their customer experience strategy?
Well, it's an interesting one. Yeah, there are lots of small mistakes you can make along the way in terms of AI, data not being curated, it being not timely, not up to date, not accurate. But I think probably the biggest mistake is to try and treat it differently to how you do other things, how you would treat other technical projects or IT projects or customer service projects. You should be looking to do them in the same way. So you're considering how the business wants to benefit from the technology, how the applications will look, what the data needs to be, and how the technology is going to work around that. So your standard type of architecture for approaching any large-scale project. And if you do that, you won't go too far wrong because you'll have all the right governance in place to make sure that you're dealing with the processes in the right way. So yeah, it's not so much if you try and treat it differently, that's where things go wrong. If you try and think, it's AI, it's a new world, which it is, and there are some other considerations that you have to have. People are very rightly concerned about guardrails and hallucinations and things like that, but there are technical solutions that you can put in place to reduce and minimize the impact of those. And it's actually the same that you would have with an agent. And when an agent gets things wrong, when a human in the loop has either got data that's out of date, it's the same with AI. So yeah, the mistake would be to try and treat it differently and not apply the same level of governance that you would put to any other project.
Certainly. Now, how can organizations assess whether they are genuinely ready for AI and CX? And what foundations must be in place before they start?
Going back to what I just said, really, it's the governance. If you've got a good, strong governance process, it generally means that you can deal with most things. Your data has to, the key thing that people need to make sure is that the data is well curated, and it's one of the biggest problems. And it's not just an AI issue, it's a CRM issue, it's an ERP issue, business process flow. Having the data that it is timely, well organized, accurate, that's, people have got lots of historical cruft in their systems that needs to be managed, and it's legacy debt that is often overlooked, and that is one of the biggest problems that all people will face. That if you understand your data, then that is probably the key gate, one of your first gates to understanding whether you're ready to actually take on AI.
Certainly. Moving on from there, what advice would you give organizations that are beginning their AI transformation project, especially those with complex legacy systems or fragmented data?
Be clear on what you want to achieve, and then stress test that to make sure that it is in fact achievable, because a lot of people have big ambitions and think AI is going to fix broken data. It will smooth things over to an extent, but you will get yourself into trouble, especially in industries where compliance and regulatory considerations are front and center. Yeah, you need to be absolutely clear on that. But yeah, making sure that data is ready, getting it stress tested, be clear on what you want to achieve. Being clear on what you want to achieve is probably the first thing you need to do, because then you can stress test that idea and make sure it's actually achievable. You look at AI today and people are making some wild claims about what they can do, and then falling short because the basics aren't in place. Be clear on what you want to do, stress test the ideas, and then you'll be in a fairly good place to be successful.
Finally, as customer journeys become more complex, how can organizations ensure AI solutions integrate seamlessly across channels without adding new layers of friction?
Simplify the journeys. So is the simple answer, but without being glib, you're making sure that you're again testing what you want to achieve, removing complexity that's unnecessary because a lot of it is historical, and making sure that your journeys are joined up. It shouldn't, if you've got individual components of functionality, you should be able to bring them together in a way that isn't overly complex, making sure you've got your reporting points, your integration points all well sorted before you start the project. Again, going back to making sure that you have strong governance and architectures in place to make sure all this works together, because it is complex, and the historical systems are not going to go away and they need to be dealt with. So there are ways of doing it, with enterprise service buses and things like that, and middleware that will allow you to integrate. But the journeys shouldn't themselves be more complicated. It's making sure that the process is well defined and understood.
Indeed. Thank you, Richard. It's been a pleasure to have you join us today, and we look forward to meeting you and the Gamma team at the CX Live show in Manchester in July. Until then, stay safe.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to meeting you.